Is it visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So first day, I gave you this outline, so if you want to prepare your own chapter one, so the outline will be, I'll tell you something about the optimization and allocation, because the entire microeconomics is based on optimization and allocation. I'll also tell you definitions of various types of markets. I'll tell you about different tools and techniques which we use in context of microeconomics as measurement tools. And at the end, as conclusion of chapter 1, I'll tell you what is meant by economic analysis. I do not have much time before the Puja vacation, because this is the last time I'm meeting you before the Puja vacation. So I'm not sure whether I'll be able to cover all these. However, I'm trying my best to cover these points. So this will be the chapter 1 of introductory microeconomics 1. So last day, I started to tell you something about optimization and allocation. Before that, I mentioned, there in context of economics, we are dividing the things broadly into two parts, the microeconomics and macroeconomics. Microeconomics is focusing on individual unit. This individual may be individual human being, individual household, individual region, individual state, or it can be country, it can be entire universe as well. So when we are telling about micro and focusing on individual, it is all up to you how you are defining that individual. Macroeconomics talks about the aggregates. It is interested about aggregate consumption, aggregate savings, aggregate investment, aggregate income of the economy as a whole. I mentioned that the difference between micro and macro is becoming blurred over time, and nowadays we mainly focus on microeconomic foundation of macroeconomics. Microeconomic foundation of macroeconomics indicates, actually, when we talk about the aggregates, from the individual we get the concept of this aggregate. So again, macro depends on how individual units in an economy is behaving. Therefore, during your undergraduate level, the focus will be more on aggregates. However, as you move on, you will find that macro you are reading as micro foundation of macroeconomics. Okay, now coming to focusing on microeconomics, first we should begin with, when we are considering an individual, with that individual, what we will do. With that individual unit, we will either go for optimization or will go for, and with the help of optimization, ultimately we will go for optimum allocation. So last day, I started to talk something about this optimization procedure. Since a group of students were not there, therefore just I'm briefing. Optimization, the concept of optimization is so important in context of economics that a number of schools make, a kind of equality. They consider rationality is equivalent to optimization, or optimization is equivalent to rationalization, or rational behavior is nothing but optimizing my choices, or if it is producer, optimizing their behavior. So individual agent will optimize, and that will be considered as rational behavior. However, as the system goes on, we will understand there are many things in rational behavior. However, to begin with, we are considering optimization is equivalent to rational behavior. Now, if I try to equate optimization, that is maximization or minimization, is equivalent to rational behavior, implicitly we are assuming that individual can state preferences given the alternatives. So if you are given a basket of fruits, you will be able to identify which of the two or which of the three will give you most satisfaction. On the other hand, if you are given a basket of resources, you will be able to identify as a producer which of the resources will be most helpful for your best practices. Okay, so given the alternatives, I'll be able to choose number one. Number two, my choice will be complete in nature. Anyone else who were there in the last class will define what is meant by completeness in choices? Anyone?
Ma'am, completeness in choice means that whenever we are choosing something, like we have option A or option B, then we will be firm on our choice. Like either we choose A or we choose B or we choose neither of them. Okay, like we have a
Ma'am,
completeness.
Yes.
ma'am, complete knowledge about the resources.
No, completeness in choices, that is related to these preferences are assumed to be complete. The person can always say which of the two alternatives they consider preferable, or that neither is preferred to the other, etc. What the other boy said. Completeness in choices or completeness in preferences mean, given the alternatives, I'll be able to say whether A is preferred to B, or B is preferred to A, or both A and B are identical to me, or I'll not prefer either A or B. Okay? So this is meant by completeness. Given a set of alternatives, say N, I'll be able to pick and choose, and I'll be, arrange the commodities or arrange the resources in a particular order. Whether I am preferring it, not preferring it, whether this will give me better satisfaction to other, all these things. Another thing,
Ma'am,
yes.
ma'am, ma'am, to have this such preferences about one object above another, they must have to know about the knowledge about the resources also, na? To know that which one is better than
Okay.
another.
We are using these terms in terms of the set theoretic information. Okay. So the matter you are stating, that is that in terms and terminology of economics, we will consider as information. Okay. So completeness in choices or in terms of preferences means the completeness as we understand in terms of set theory. Got it? Manzoor?
Yes, ma'am.
The next property I mentioned, that is the idea of transitivity. If I make an equivalence between optimization and the rational behavior, we are considering the choice or the preferences is transitive in nature. That is, if A is preferred to B and B is preferred to C, in that case, always A will be preferred to C. And we can extend it say from A to Z. So if A is preferred to B, B is preferred to C, A will be preferred to Z, not Z will be preferred to A. So it is not circular, it is linear. Okay, so transitivity is also there. Then I talked about broadly two types of economic agents. There are different types of agents in an economy. However, to begin with, our focus will be on two types of agents. One is consumers, those who are revealing the demand, and producers, those who will sell something. So these are the group who will always demand something, and this is the group who will always cater something, sell something, supply something. Now, if I consider optimization is the beginning of microeconomics, naturally the two agents will optimize. For the consumers, what we generally find, they maximize their satisfaction. This satisfaction, if I use the term and terminology of economics, is called utility. So this group maximizes satisfaction, which we will call utility, subject to, say, their income or time, etc. So it's not a simple maximization. Later in the later line, I'll come to that. Optimization can be of two types, constrained and unconstrained. So the way we are presenting the consumers, they maximize their satisfaction, which we will call utility, subject to their budget, which is nothing but an income expenditure statement. Or, easily we can say, in easier terminology, we can say with subject to their income constraint. Or sometimes we can consider the problem with respect to time as well. So there will be some constraint. Subject to that, I have to maximize something. Next, agent is producer. This group either maximizes their output, the things they produce, that we call output, subject to cost constraint, or under certain other conditions, they will minimize cost subject to a given level of output. So output may be fixed. In that case, they will try to find out the cost which will be minimum to produce this level of output. In this sense, they are rational. So they want to produce something using the minimum cost. For the consumers, they want to maximize their utility subject to their income. We may wish to buy a chartered plane, especially in the COVID days, we will be able to fly here and there. However, it is not possible. Given my income, it is not possible. Okay, so subject to that, I am trying to pick and choose something which is maximizing my utility. And in that sense, I am a rational agent. I will optimize, keeping in my mind, I have some constraints. Producers will maximize or minimize, keeping in their minds that they have some constraint. So while we are talking about optimization in economics will be of two types, constraint optimization and unconstrained optimization. You are familiar mainly with unconstrained optimization, which you generally practice at +2 level. However, here you will find that you are not only simply maximizing or minimizing, rather you are doing it subject to some constraints. So your expression, tools, methodology will be a bit different from, considering only dy dx and d square y by dx square. Okay, it will be a bit different from that. Unconstrained optimization means when there will be no constraint at all in context of economics, microeconomics specifically. The best example is profit maximization. When we go for profit maximization, the producers will not maximize profit subject to any constraint. Profit equation by its very nature will be developed in such a way so that we don't need to consider any constraint when we will go for profit maximization. So that will be a very prominent example of unconstant optimization in context of microeconomic analysis. Okay, now this optimization finally leads to optimum allocation of either the commodities or the resources. Since I'm trying to optimize, I can be a consumer, I can be a producer, however, I am optimizing. So finally, when all the agents in the economy either maximize or minimize, or in other words, they will optimize, naturally, if we think about the allocation of commodities and the resources, that allocation will be by default an optimum allocation. By default, an optimum allocation, because everybody is behaving optimally. So, if I think about allocation of apples and oranges, say, that will be optimum allocation, and that is the optimum allocation of commodities to fruit items or food items. So optimum allocation of total available commodities, because everybody is trying to maximize their utility. Or if I look at the economy from the producer's viewpoint, we will say that since all the agents are optimizing, naturally resources, that is land, labor, capital, everything will be optimally utilized. So this idea is the thought of neoclassical economics. Neoclassical economics thinks in this way. Every agent in an economy is behaving optimally. So at the end of the day, when we are thinking about the distribution of the resources, distribution is optimum, not questionable. It is rational. Okay. Microeconomics will tell us how actually we will go for this kind of maximization, minimization for different agents in an economy on one hand. On the other hand, it will tell us if the economic environment changes, what will happen to this allocation? At a particular time point, I am telling this allocation is optimum. However, if there is sudden shock in the economy because of some external reason, like COVID-19, outbreak or demonetization, say. So externally, the environment is changing. There will be some impact of this environmental change on an economy, and this impact we will measure considering several sensitivity analysis or comparative static analysis. Okay, so at a certain time point, given other things changed, just a minute, given a ceteris paribus condition, that is given other things unchanged, this is the best solution. However, because of certain changes in the economic environment, suppose supply is falling. I think all of you during this point, this time point, learned about from the media, there is disruption in the supply chains. That is because of COVID, all these things are not coming in the market. Many industries are closed or they have shortage of resources, and for that matter, we are not getting the usual supply. That means supply chain has broken. And because of that, naturally there will be some impact on supply of all sorts of commodities and all sorts of services. Or, you also learned about the fact that because of this pandemic, income has fallen for, many groups in the society. So naturally, if there is this kind of change in the income because of this sudden shock in the economy, naturally demand pattern will also change. Okay, so if these things come from outside, if these external shocks enter, in that case, how the economy will behave, that also we will learn. Okay, so in a steady state, or given the ceteris paribus, given other things constant, what will be the behavior of the agents, that we will learn. And if the shock comes, what may be the behavior of these agents, that we will also learn. Somebody had some question? Yes.
Ma'am, could you repeat that point, that why does the consumer would optimum the allocation of resources? Means why there will be optimum allocation in the commodities?
Okay. So neoclassical economics is thinking that the entire neoclassical thought or neoclassical group of economists, they think in this way. We are considering all the agents in the economy are behaving rationally. First thing, they are behaving rationally, that means they are optimizing. That in turn means if the agent is consumer, maximizing utility subject to income constraint. If the agent is producer, maximizing output subject to cost constraint, or minimizing cost subject to output constraint, etc. So all the agents in the economy will behave in the similar pattern. All of them will behave rationally. Now, if all of them behave rationally, at the end, what happens, if everything is perfect, what happens, aggregate demand will be exactly equal to aggregate supply, because all are behaving optimally. So economy will understand this will be the demand, this accordingly that will be the supply, there will be a perfect match, everything will be at ideal state. Okay, so if everything is at ideal state, neoclassical economists, they are thinking that commodities as well as resources will be optimally allocated. We are producing something, okay, and then we will try to distribute it. That means we will try to allocate them. Now, if everybody is satisfied and market clears, demand is exactly equal to supply, in that case, we will call it optimum allocation of either commodities or optimum allocation of resources. Okay. However, we question all these principles. We will one by one learn different types of market conditions, and whether really these things happen in an economy or not. If there is any deviation, why this deviation occurs. So in this way, the chapters will come in front of us. Okay, you at least got some answer to your question, I hope.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am,
Yes.
ma'am, correct me if I'm wrong, but is it right to say that rationality is an assumption in every neoclassical theory?
Which one?
Rationality, is it right to say rationality is an underlying assumption in every neoclassical thoughts and
If you consider rationality as optimization, if it is equivalent to optimization, then it is true.
okay, ma'am. Okay, so we
Okay?
should consider it as it
This
should be
is the
equivalent to
narrow
optimization.
definition of rationality. Rationality can be defined in different ways. So this is only the beginning. So if I introduce all sorts of rationality or evolution of the notion of rationality, it will be difficult to begin with. However, over time, we will understand everything.
Okay, ma'am.
Ma'am,
Thank you.
ma'am,
Yes.
ma'am. One thing I just want to ask you, ma'am, as you
Yes.
told that according to the neoclassical school of economics, it is considered that each and every agent, whether it be the producer or be it the consumer, everybody will try to optimize their benefits, right? So, ma'am,
Yes.
in this case, then it should have happened that for the last 3 decades or 2 decades, the world is going mainly according to this school of thought of economics, right? But we can also see that over this period, there has been drastic, irrelevant, and discriminate allocation of resources, where it is
We are coming to
seeming.
all these things. There are positive part, there is normative part. Okay, so let's
Um,
introduce the terms and terminologies first, and I hope you will get answer to your questions. Okay.
okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am.
In the first chapter, I told you, after telling optimization and allocation, purpose of learning microeconomics is optimization and allocation. This is one part. Then all these questions which is coming in your mind, whether rationality is equivalent to optimization, number one. Number two, whether optimization will lead to optimum allocation, etc. Whether all allocation will be acceptable to the society. All these questions are naturally coming in your mind. Microeconomics will try to answer to all these questions. I am trying to introduce the topics which we will consider following the chapters we are going to learn in context of microeconomics. Okay, so optimization and allocation will give us what is ideal, why we do not get this thing in reality, if it changes, what can be the answer. So all these things will come one by one. Next, I am trying to introduce some definitions of various types of markets, So I'm trying to give you that thing because in the first subsection, I told you about two types of agents in an economy, consumer and producer. Microeconomics will consider broadly these two types of agents, consumers and producers. Now we need a common place where these two agents will be interact with each other. Because somebody is trying to sell something, I want to buy something. So we need a common forum, be it virtual place, be it real place, you need a space, a forum where the interaction between these two groups may occur. Market is the place where these two groups meet each other, virtually or really. So market is a place where buyers and sellers come together to exchange some products or goods. Now, when I am using the term product, and I'm using the term market, I have to say broadly what are the types of markets can be in an economy. Broadly, there will be two types of markets in an economy: commodity market or product market and factor market. We have two groups, two types of agents, buyers and sellers. In the product market, individual human being or individual household, they are the buyers. They play the role of demanders. In the commodity market, we buy commodities. So as our family, you can think, or as an individual, we buy commodities. So we are the buyers in the commodity market. And different industries or the firms are the sellers. because they are producing the commodities and bringing this in the market. The things change when we go to the factor market. Factor means input, land, labor, capital, etc. So when we move to the factor market, farms or the industry houses, they become buyers because they buy labor, they borrow capital, they take lease of the lands, etc. So in that case, households or the individuals appear sellers. We are selling the labor, and against this we are getting our income or wage. Okay, so
Ma'am, is there any example of factor market?
an example of factor market, labor
Yes,
market.
ma'am.
Labor market, you know, the,
It can
the
be
work
capital.
I'm doing at this moment, the work I'm doing at this moment, you know, I am trying to teach you. That means I am trying to sell something which I know, and against this, I'm getting a payment. I get my salary because of that. Okay? So
Yes,
this is,
ma'am.
right now, this is the example, you know, and, you know, you can think about the raw materials. So,
Ma'am, so factor
raw
market.
materials,
Ma'am, so
just,
factor market is a place where we can buy products which are used to complete the production process.
yes, yes, yes. So factor market is the market where we are selling something which will be used to produce the finished goods. Okay. So actually by definition, form is the unit where inputs are changed to outputs. So we are putting some raw materials, labor, capital, land there, and using the technology and transforming the raw materials in terms of finished commodities. Okay, so you know, somebody wanted to have some examples. Are you understanding?
Yeah, ma'am, I'm trying, ma'am. About the factor market, yeah, ma'am, it's a bit going
Okay,
a
okay,
bit
okay.
bloody
Listen.
for me.
Okay, listen to me. Okay, so somebody is the owner of the land. Okay, got it? There is
Yes,
some
ma'am.
land. You want to, you know, build up your factory on that land. What you will do?
I will take lease or I'll buy it.
Yeah, you will take lease or you will buy it. So
Yeah,
you
ma'am.
belong to the firm group then.
Yes, ma'am. I can't listen.
You belong to firm group then. You belong to the firm group then. You
Yeah,
are the businessman or industrialist, you know,
yeah,
produce.
ma'am.
So you are the buyer. You are buying land from some individual.
Oh, I can get it now. I can get it now. Like we are buying the means of production, right?
Yes.
I can get it now. Yeah, ma'am.
You are buying the means of production, raw materials, also land. It can be labor, it can be anything. And who are your suppliers then? Owner of the raw materials, you
Yeah,
know,
ma'am.
or owner of the land. Okay, got it, I hope.
Yeah, ma'am. I can get it. Yes, ma'am. Now it's clear, ma'am.
Okay. And please look at this line. In a factor market, buyers are firms who need to hire workers and borrow money for capital expenditure, and sellers are individuals who provide labor and save money in banks. I'm getting salary or I'm getting my wage, I'm saving it in my banks. If I am a landowner, you will buy land from me and you will build up your industry and I'll save the money in bank. Got it? Some
Yes,
part
ma'am.
I'll use to purchase commodities and some part I'll save in my bank.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now I am dividing the same concept, that is the concept of market, into several parts. Now I am dividing the market in several categories depending on influence on price. Whether I'll be able to influence the price, whether sellers will be influence the price, whether buyers will be influence the price. On the basis of this particular concept, based on influence on price, okay, I am dividing the markets in several categories. The first type of market I am mentioning, that is the competitive market. I am writing competitive market. Those who have some knowledge about economics, they are familiar with the term. Which term you are familiar about? Those
Perfect competition.
perfect competition. Very good. So competitive market or perfect competition, we call it perfect competition. In case of perfect competition, what happens? All the commodities are homogeneous in nature. So there are several sellers, in fact, numerous sellers of the commodity, However, the product is homogeneous in nature. Everybody is selling potato and potato is identical. If you go to a big market, you will find that there are several sellers of potato and the nature of potato is not differing from one to other. Just a minute. Okay, so commodities are homogeneous in nature. Everybody is selling identical products. Second, there will be numerous sellers as well as numerous buyers. Numerous sellers, numerous buyers, homogeneous products. And later, under certain context, we will also add some more properties for this competitive market. There will be perfect information from the buyers and the sellers part. There will be no government intervention. So all these things we will bring. However, to begin with, whenever we are trying to introduce the terms and terminologies, we will use these 3 points are very important. Homogeneous product, numerous sellers, numerous buyers. Now, if the products are homogeneous and price varies, somebody charges lower, somebody charges higher, naturally the entire concentration will be on the sellers who are charging lesser. There will be no customer for the sellers who are charging higher prices. Again, we are telling that numerous sellers. If it happens there are 2 or 3 sellers, in that case, there can be some concentration depending on other factors. However, here we are finding numerous sellers. Again, buyers are also numerous. So numerous buyers, numerous sellers, commodities are homogeneous. Is there any chance that prices will vary from one seller to other?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Yeah, it's possible. Okay, so with these 3 information only, we are understanding it will be difficult to charge different prices. Okay?
Ma'am,
Yes.
ma'am, can we assume that the profit also is same? Profit for the sellers is same?
Yeah, under perfect competition, when we will proceed, we will find that profit is same and that will be the normal profit. So there are many things here. So profit will be also same here. Okay, so the firms are similar in nature here. Okay. Example is there are very less example in real life where you will find the commodities are really homogeneous. Only in context of agricultural markets, at least up to certain extent, we can imagine the commodities are homogeneous in nature. Okay. However, if you consider agriculture as a whole, agriculture in India is not identical to agriculture in Japan. Okay, we have huge land, so the pattern of agriculture and outcome of that agriculture is different. Japan does not have any land, where they can extensively practice this kind of farming that we practice here. So, everybody is familiar with the bonsai concept. Are you?
No, ma'am, I don't know it, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
You are familiar. Many of you at least know it,
Yes.
Our glass house production. In Japan, everything
Yes,
is technical-based.
Yes, ma'am.
Agriculture is highly technical because all the production,
Greenhouse
most
farming.
output is glass house production. Okay, so don't think that agriculture as a whole is something which will produce the homogeneous commodities. Okay, so technology involved in every farmhouse product which is produced in Japan and technology involved here is totally different. So, not in that sense. However, broadly, if you think about a local market based on a region, more or less we can think that agriculture is a competitive market, So, so what we are understanding, influence of price will be nil here. So what happens in context of perfect competition or competitive markets, there will be certain market determined price where the total demand will be exactly equal to total supply. That is, there will be a price which clears the market. Every seller and every buyer will accept the price. So for an individual seller and individual buyer, price is externally given. Price is given from outside. And everybody accepts that price. Because since the buyers is also numerous, if some certain group of people thinks that I'll not buy potato, there are so many people here, that the elimination of that group will be not able to put any influence on the price of potato. Similarly, for the sellers too, since the number of sellers numerous, homogeneous product, as you already mentioned, it is not possible to charge different prices. The second variety of the market here we will consider, that is called the monopolistic market, not monopoly, monopolistic market, the second variety. Products are heterogeneous. However, sellers are many, buyers are many. Okay, so it is a little bit changed from perfect competition. In case of perfect competition, products were identical. Here, the products are heterogeneous. Okay, we call the industries here as industry groups. Toothpaste, for example, the basic function is same. However, if you move from one toothpaste to other, color wise, advertisement wise, they may be a bit different. Packaging wise, color wise, taste wise, advertisement expenditure wise, they are a bit different. Archie's and Hallmark, both of them produce, wonderful things. However, there is some difference between them. Sometimes we consider the chemical composition as well, bit different. Okay, so they are serving the same purpose. However, there is some difference between the products. We call it product differentiation. I am differentiating my product really or artificially. If I, spend huge amount in advertisement or bring Sachin or Shorav in advertisement, in that case, people may think that this product will be something different. Okay, so sometimes you may find that this differentiation is superficial, just the packaging, just the color. Sometimes you may find there is some difference in technology as well. Okay, so similar kind of product having different, having a sort of differentiation. This is the idea. Now I am giving you some examples. Restaurants, haircuts, each one offers something different and possesses an element of uniqueness. Okay, and therefore people goes to different restaurants, people go to different saloons, but all are essentially competing for the same customers. Okay, got my point? And since there is some kind of uniqueness and customers have unique taste and preferences, so somebody will follow this style, somebody will follow that style. Okay, so this is the idea of monopolistic competition. There will be product differentiation. However, differentiation may be superficial. However, the differentiation may be real. In fact, some people may think the differentiation is real. Some people may think it is only superficial. For the saloons, it may happen you like a particular type of haircut and you think that it's very unique. However, another person may think that is only the superficial. There is no actual difference between the two. So this is the idea. This is the idea of monopolistic competition. So it is, you will find that in between the perfect competition and the type which I am going to introduce now, monopoly. So it is in between these two, perfect competition and monopoly. Since there is certain kind of product differentiation, so little bit difference in price will be allowed. So you may influence the price a bit because you can advertise that you are really, really unique in nature. Okay, so it is all depending on you. So some degree of difference in price is allowed.
Ma'am?
Just let me finish all these four, then I'll take the questions. Third, I am going to monopoly. In case of monopoly, there will be one seller. However, there will be many buyers. Seller is one in this case. Actually, what happens in case of monopoly, mono means single. So there is a single producer. So whatever he or she is producing, that will be unique in nature. Because single producer, or we say that there is no perfect substitute for this. Okay, solar energy is not perfect substitute for electricity we consume regularly. Okay, so you can say that electricity has some other sources as well. However, the source we are using nowadays, that is not, comparable with solar energy. The way solar energy has developed and can produce electricity, that is not comparable till date. Okay. I'm giving you some example. Railways, Microsoft, De Beers, in case of Diamond, Microsoft in case, I hope everybody, you are aware of Microsoft. Natural gas companies, Google, Facebook, WhatsApp. Okay, so all these things. So there is some private companies, who are trying to trying to compete with the national railways, still they are not comparable. So we do not have substitutes so far. Microsoft, I don't know, we do not have substitutes so far. In case of diamonds, there are diamonds from different companies. However, De Beers till date, is at the top. Natural gas companies at the top. There are several private companies as well, however, not comparable with the national company we have. Google, Facebook, you are understanding. Okay, so these are the part of our regular life, and there they have monopoly, no close substitute. Now, if your product is like this, it doesn't have any close substitute at all. In that case, you will have total influence on price. If the thing is indispensable for certain group of demanders, they will buy these commodities or services, whatever be the price. So it is possible to have a full control over the price or full influence over the price. So in case of monopoly, price is determined by the sellers. Buyers need to accept this price if they want to buy the commodity. Oligopoly is, is bit different from monopoly, because here we will have few groups who will have command over the entire market, like aircrafts. We are getting several companies. All these companies have more or less equal hold or equal share in the market. So buyers in every cases are many. However, number of sellers, that is changing. In the first two cases, there are many sellers. However, starting from oligopoly, we are finding that number of sellers will be few. In case of monopoly, we are getting number of seller is 1. Naturally, you are understanding that they will be able to influence the price if they want. So in case of monopoly, you will get a lot of evidences where really in real life, the supplier is influencing the price. We can give the example of natural gas, railway tickets. Everyday price is increasing. However, we have to use this because we will be not able to do anything without these things. Okay, so we are accepting the price. We are curtailing the expenditure in other spheres. However, we are purchasing all these commodities in our day-to-day life. Now, in case of oligopoly, you will find the behavior of the firms will be strategic in nature. So many a times they fight for market shares, many a times they fight for prices. Okay, so it will depend on their strategy. The entire game theory in mathematics, which we will also use in context of economics, will be based on the strategic behavior of oligopolists, or oligopolists' behavior will be well captured by the game theoretic analysis. Okay, so this entire market will be based on strategic behavior of the firms. Firms can play different strategy because they can influence the market. There are 2 other markets where sellers
Excuse me, ma'am.
yes,
Ma'am, in oligopoly,
I mentioned that. I'll check the questions. Let me finish the things, because we have short time. We don't have much time. Okay.
yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'll take the questions, all the questions. So in case of monopsony, we will get that buyer is 1, sellers many. Here you can consider the example of, can you give any example? Anyone?
Ma'am, India government buying
Ma'am, the cola
arms
company.
and all.
India government
Yes, ma'am, buying like
buying what?
military stuffs and all.
India government is not the example of monopsony.
Ma'am,
It's
ma'am,
Ma'am, the
already
labor
ma'am,
market.
ma'am, a coal company in a certain place.
yeah, specific type of companies, specific type of companies. Tea garden, say. There are many laborers, many people are there to sell something. However, there are only very few owners. Or, the boy said, your friend said an example. Actually, the company kind of thing. So, the classic case is a company town, where one employer is the source of all jobs. Okay? So the employer is buying the labor. Workers can't easily move away, or their skills are particular to the jobs offered by the company in question. Okay, so company towns, actually the notion of company towns develop in this way. So I'll be the single buyer of labor or land. Everybody will come to me to sell their raw materials or labor, etc. So in this case, sellers are many, buyer is one. There are also examples in agriculture when governments create marketing boards to which farmers are required to sell their crops. Suppose there is no regular market and you have the only one channel. You have to sell it to the government. Government will procure the entire resource and they will sell it through some other channels. So if these things happen, in that case, that board is the sole buyer of the entire crops. Okay, so these are the examples. Oligopsony, here I said that few buyers, many sellers. Few buyers, many sellers. So if we consider the tobacco, in US there are 3 companies. Okay. These 3 companies buy almost the entire beans farmers grow globally. Okay. First, I am giving you the example of cocoa beans. So for cocoa, what we find that, these are the 3 companies, they are buying most of the things. Or you can think about a big supermarket chains in this case, several chains are there. Here I mentioned about government. Instead of government, there can be several supermarket chains, and these chains will buy almost all the products. In case of tobacco in US, we will find that a few companies are buying almost the 90% tobaccos from the farmers. So here I am talking about a single buyer. Here I am talking about 3-4 buyers or so, who will buy the entire amount that is produced in an economy. Okay, so I forgot to give you the example of oligopoly. I mentioned about the strategic behavior, etc. Cable television services, airlines, computers and softwares, smartphones, automobiles. These are the examples of oligopoly. Okay. Now, you had some questions one by one, please.
May I go first?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, you said that in oligopoly, the sellers, they compete with each other in terms of their prices and in order to increase their market, market fold.
I said that the strategy may be taken in terms of price, in terms of market shares. I didn't say the thing you are telling me. Okay?
Okay, ma'am. So, ma'am, do they even...
taken in terms of market share? strategy may be taken in terms of price. We will, in due course, we will discuss about different types of oligopoly. Now, if you are a bit familiar, I don't know, if you consider the Purna duopoly structure, in that case, the entire game is regarding the market share. If you consider Stackelberg, again, the thing is related to market share. However, if you consider Batra, in that case, the work will be related to price, okay? So it will depend what sort of strategy you are taking, whether your strategy is in terms of market share, whether your strategy is in terms of price, etc. So there are, apart from these two, there are more strategy,
Yes, ma'am.
Your
So, ma'am,
price will not be regarding at all, regarding market share or price. Rather, you are taking a certain of strategies so that any newcomer cannot enter the market. Okay, so your strategy may be of many types in case of oligopoly.
ma'am, so do these, there's this organization OPEC. Would we consider that an example of oligopoly, that organization of petroleum exporting countries, as in they coordinate their prices together instead of like
This is an
competing?
example.
Yeah, ma'am. It's OPEC, ma'am. It's OPEC.
It is the example of cartel. Okay. So
Yes,
OPEC
okay.
is an example of cartel. It is not an example of oligopoly. Okay.
Okay, ma'am. And ma'am, another doubt. In oligopsony, can we consider the defense sector, like companies, to be a part of oligopsony? Like the companies that produce defense, like arms and ammunition and
Yes.
weapons and stuff.
Yes. It will depend on vary from nation to nation. However, yes.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am, wouldn't it be considered as monopoly because, ma'am, the ordnance factories hold the majority share? So I think, won't it be
So
considered monopoly?
she is telling about oligopsony.
Yeah, ma'am. I am telling about the defense sector. She told about the defense sector. Now I am telling that.
Yes, she is not telling oligopoly. I think she told this as oligopsony.
Yes, ma'am, oligopsony.
Yes. Okay. Not oligopoly. It is as oligopsony. Several companies are producing these arms, and mainly defense is buying that. Government defense is buying that. So single buyer, several sellers. So this is an example of oligopsony.
Oh, okay, ma'am. I get it.
Ma'am, I have a question.
Yes.
Ma'am, in a monopoly market, the product is unique, but after some time, if another products arises which also have the same qualities, then it will be still in the monopoly market, or it will become a monopolistic competition.
That will move towards the oligopoly. In reality, what happens? The market starts with the monopoly power. Over time, several companies enter. Okay. And then the firms take different strategy to increase their market share or to change the price or to, play other strategies. So from the monopoly, we move towards the oligopoly, not monopolistic competition. In case of monopolistic competition, the thing is, to begin with, there are many sellers. So from monopoly, it will take a long time to move up to monopolistic competition. Okay.
Ma'am.
So perfect competition, it will be easier to move towards monopolistic competition. And from monopoly, actually, economy moves towards oligopoly.
Ma'am.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Ma'am.
Yes.
But like entering into a monopoly market is hard because like we need to satisfy all the sellers. No, like it's not that easy to enter into a monopoly market.
Yes. we will learn about patent, copyrights, licensing. So many things are there. Now, to begin with, a particular company may have the license for selling something. However, over time, if demand increases, depending on the nature of the commodity, government may give license to 2 or 3 other firms too. Okay, so it is difficult. However, there is mechanism as well. Later you will learn about lobbying, etc. So those who have money, those industrialists have a lot of resource, may go for lobbying. Political power may help you for lobbying, and you may get the license for selling a commodity. Okay, so all the things are there. So it will take some time. However, one by one we will learn all these things as we go to the deeper sense of each and every term we are using now. Naturally, all these questions will come, more questions will come, and we will be able to understand the subject very well. However, I am very happy that you are trying to raise several issues here.
Ma'am.
Ma'am, can I ask another question?
Yes, a minute. Yes.
Ma'am, can we say then that cartels are a part of oligopoly, or are they an entirely
Why
different
you are
thing?
raising all these questions? Because there are many students who for the first time is trying to understand economics. So if you know the things, so Google the matter. Okay, or we will keep certain when you will be able to. I didn't use the term cartel since you used the concept, therefore I mentioned.
Yes,
Ma'am, one thing just I want to ask you, ma'am, what here are the examples which you have given of oligopoly and the allied parts, ma'am. And don't you think in such systems and also in monopoly and oligopoly, I mean, in these cases, and don't you think it puts the marginalized section of the society into high vulnerability of being oppressed by the bourgeoisie class, ma'am? Like, ma'am, here the company town system as it has been given
I
here.
don't know all these things. I don't know all these things. Okay. I just told that girl, why you are talking about cartels, and you are telling about, social, total social requirement changes, So, so today we will not discuss about all these things. Time will come, we will discuss all these things.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am.
Ma'am, I have a question, ma'am.
Yes, related to the different definitions of the market, or related to greater social change?
No, ma'am. I just wanted to ask that in oligopoly, the
Yes.
examples given regarding the companies for cocoa and tobacco, are these private companies or owned by the government?
In US, these are the companies which are there, these are all private companies.
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
Okay.
Ma'am, can I ask one question?
Yes.
Ma'am, in case of monopolistic market, you have tried to give an example of toothpaste. So, ma'am, in case of oligopoly also, we are considering only few sellers. So, what is the difference between few and many? Means what is the amount of sellers we can consider there? What is it?
So it is as you grow, the differences becomes blurred. So it is very difficult to say whether the company is at monopolistic state, or it has enough differentiation so that it will have enough influence on the price. So actually the companies may be at transition stage, then the technology may change in such a way so that from the monopolistic competition, the monopolist may evolve. So all these things may happen. Okay. So a few examples, therefore, I tried to mention, look at the examples. I am not giving, when I am mentioning this kind of example, these are the better examples, or still now we find that for these industries, monopolistic competition prevails. Okay. So for toothpaste or t-shirt or pens, it is ballpoint pens. At a time, there was monopolistic competition. Now, it is very, in fact, in case of t-shirt, we will be not able to tell this is a monopolistically competitive company for certain brands. For other brands, if you consider this kind of brands, yes, it is monopolistic competition. However, some particular brands are such that they are different type of group. I mentioned about one term, product group. Okay, so though it is t-shirt, a particular group belong to certain circle, another group belong to totally different circle. Okay, so all these things may happen.
Okay,
ma'am.
Yes. So here, along with product differentiation, I am just adding one more term, product groups. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. I am asking that if we consider the textile industry, there are so many companies like Gucci, and they sell too much high-rated products, and there are also local dealers also. So, which kind of market they are in, ma'am? Monopolistic or monopoly? As they are selling the premium products, but they are also
because they are actually behaving like different product groups. A group has more control over the price compared to the other group. Actually, product differentiation, when we are talking about whether the product differentiation is to some extent or to a very great extent, that is under question. If it is to certain extent, in that case, it will belong to one particular group. However, if the texture and everything is really very, very different, in that case, the group is different. Okay? And that group may have enough control on the price as well.
then this kind of things can be
All
considered
these
in
are
monopoly.
substitutes, substitutable. So I cannot say these are monopoly. There is close substitutes, If you dress market, if you think about very hi-fi brand too, in that case also there is substitute. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So now, if I consider a very common example, Titan, say, in wristwatch, you will find that in Titan only, there are several groups. Sonata is the lowest group. I hope everybody visited the Titan shop.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Any time point in your life, at least sometimes you visited the shop, you will find that Sonata is a group for that. Another group is Fast Track for different age group of people. That is also belong to very basic range. Okay, so that Fast Track and Sonata is fighting with different brand of that category. Okay, however, there is, I forgot the name, Tommy Hilton or like that,
Tommy Hilfiger.
Tommy Hilfiger.
Hilfiger. Very good. Tommy Hilfiger is that belongs to the same group, same wristwatch brand. However, no comparison is there. Raga is an
Rolex also.
okay. So all these things are there. So Tommy Hilfiger is fighting with different types of brands. Sonata Fast Track is fighting with different types of brands. So all these things are there. Titan actually wants to establish monopoly in wristwatch. Therefore, the company itself is bringing all these varieties, starting from very, very low range up to very, very high range. So all these things are there to capture the market, okay? So the story is not that simple that you will go to the market and try to understand, whether it is a monopoly, whether monopolistic competition, oligopoly, etc. Okay, so there are many strategies. It is the strategic behavior of certain companies that it sells certain group which belongs to very low range and certain belong to very high range. So company-wise even, I'll be not able to tell you whether monopolistic competition or monopoly or oligopoly. Okay. So there is this kind of problem. However, we have to begin with certain concepts. Otherwise, we will be not able to proceed. So to begin with, we have to understand this can be the broad categories. However, everything is changing over time. Once a particular group was monopolies, now oligopolies, maybe in future will become just like a competitive form. So all these things happen.
Ma'am, the thing which you explained right now, ma'am, if we see the same condition, same thing from the microeconomic perspective, I mean from the perspective of a individual consumer, ma'am, then can we, ma'am, I'm just asking, actually I don't know, that's why I'm asking you, ma'am, is this the situation of commodity fetishism? Ma'am, is this type of thing, ma'am?
Commodity fetishism is a different thing. We have too much demand for commodities, and that is called commodity fetishism. Okay?
Ma'am, I can't hear you, ma'am.
Commodity fetishism is a different concept. Commodity fetishism means we are always demanding something. Okay? So much of commodities we want. Okay? So this is commodity fetishism. Every day I'm changing my mobile brand. Every day I'm changing my laptop. Every day I'm changing my wristwatch. This is commodity fetishism. Okay?
Okay, ma'am.
Psychological state. It is not the economic definition of market. This is a psychological state of a human being.
Okay, ma'am. I can understand, ma'am.
So I thought that I'll proceed and will tell you something about the economic measurements as well. However, I do not have time to move forward because from 5 we have a practical class, So I have to switch for that.
Ma'am, I have a doubt.
Yes. Yes.
Ma'am, I just have a small and basic question about
Yes.
price determination.
Please
Price determination, if you permit.
Yeah, I
Yes,
get
ma'am.
you. Can you please repeat?
Ma'am, I have a small basic question related to price determination.
Yes.
Ma'am, like in monopoly, initially there is only one firm who controls the price. But suppose a firm producing the similar product enters the monopoly, then they will form an industry because firms form an industry. So at that point of time, will the industry decide the price or the initial firm that was initially in the monopoly?
If there is no close, you have to think about a state where there is no close substitutes. So from where this question is coming, somebody is producing the same commodity, why in case of monopoly, all these things happen? Because monopoly can be established for the commodities where we need a huge investment or we need a raw material which is very, very scarce in nature. So it will because of the nature of the raw material, because of the nature of the investment, because of the nature of, the the entire economic environment, a producer becomes a monopolist. Okay, so it will be not that easy to have another producer producing the similar kind of commodity. If suppose PC Chandra has entire hold on BBS, so how somebody else will produce something like PC Chandra? Will be not able to do. Are you getting my point?
Yes, ma'am. So at that point of time, who will decide the price? They both will decide the price, or the first one?
Yes. So, if you have, captured or hold or something by license or by power, by your capability of investment, if you have hold on the entire resource to produce the commodity, naturally nobody will be there to produce a commodity which will be close substitute to that. I'm not telling that there will be no substitute. I'm telling that there will be no close substitute to that. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
If the raw material is available, if the technology is nothing very special, there will monopoly will be not there. Okay, or over time it may happen that because of importation etc., you can import the technology, so you can produce something which is close to that monopolist. In that case, you have also enough capacity to invest etc. In that case, from monopoly we will move towards the oligopoly. Like railways, initially in case of aircrafts too, there was monopoly of Indian Airlines. Then several private companies came, they started to operate just like the national company, and then the things changed to the oligopoly. Okay, so over time things may change. However, we will consider a ceteris paribus situation. So looking at this time point, I may declare this is a monopolist, this is a monopolistically competitive firm, this is oligopolistic firm, this is monopsonist, this is oligopsonist. If you consider the system to be dynamic, in that case, and if you do not consider ceteris paribus, in that case, everything may change. Actually, everything changes, and therefore the process is dynamic, not a static one. Okay?
Yes,
Any other question?